So it is so nice to see you all. For those of you who have not met us before, I'm Ahaumna. This is Alex, and Alex is a biomedical technology expert. He has been working in healing technologies for 15 years.
Around that, more or less, yeah.
Around 15 years. And he has been helping people, practitioners, doctors, clinics all over the world to get access to incredible healing technologies. And you all might see Effie and Nomi, who we're sort of matching with right now in the background, playing at points. So if you hear some little, little monster grumbles, that's them. They wanted to be on the call today too. And I'm Ahaumna. I've been coaching people for the last 7 years around health and spirituality. I have been personally using these technologies for the last 2.5 years now and have honestly had my life transformed. I very much struggled with a lot of chronic long-term health issues, depression, and brain trauma, and these technologies have really changed my life. So now I'm devoted, and I feel a little emotional saying that, because now I'm really devoted to helping these technologies get into so many people's hands, because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I'm super passionate about energy technology. I think that energy medicine is our future. And the device that we're going to be sharing today, I began using 2 years ago, and it was like opened up this whole reality, and I was like, this is what I've been looking for. So I'm really excited to be sharing it with you today, and I'm going to let Alex open up and introduce the tech.
We do also have a surprise guest, another member on our team, Dr. Charles. So Dr. Charles,
is he here right now?
He is. You just got to unmute him when you find him on the grid over
there. He is.
Yep. And Dr. Charles is actually on part on the founding team with me of the company for this mobile device. He's been in the tech and frequency, energy, medicine field, energy science field, biophysics since the 70s. So he knows a heck of a lot more than I do even, and I'll let him introduce himself further.
Hello.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Charles McWilliams, greeting you from sunny Florida. I've been in practice in the Caribbean on Nevis Island for over 30 years. I have a practice of over 6,000 patients. But unfortunately, since COVID struck and I was here in the States in January, I haven't been able to return to my island because it's still in quarantine lockdown. So I'm here in Florida, but I've been in the energy medicine field for a very long time. I've built my own equipment. I have built a lot of my own equipment. I understand electronics from the ground up. So I'll help relate to you some dynamics that are relatively unknown about this domain called frequency, because what people call frequency can often be a very nebulous term that really has no substantive meaning. I'm going to help bring that to you with this meeting with my good compatriot, Alex Tarris, who's very wonderfully sponsoring this. So welcome all of you, and I'll be happy to take questions as well.
So, yeah, so let's get into this a little bit.
Did you want to screen share? Or you want to share a little bit about the tech first?
Yeah, I think we can probably explain a little bit. So the company is called AO Scan, and that is the original equipment. The actual foundation of that company behind that is energy development. And so they've been based in the United States, in Utah, for at least the last 20 years. And this technology is something that came out of mainly a research project in Russia. That was actually space agency time period, actually partly in Siberia, way up there, in the 80s. And it's also a mix of some of the research that we see also in Germany. And so this technology, you could put into the field or category of, let's call it frequency-based therapy. It goes by a lot of different names. bioresonance therapy, and that can also translate into microcurrent therapies. There's many applications of frequency that we can use for a variety of purposes. And so in Russia, I'll give you a little backstory because it's kind of fascinating. They had funded a very expensive amount of money into determining, is there a way to actually affect physiological functions and even actually indirectly influence even emotions and mind in a way that might be able to support a therapeutic process. And so we all know and are familiar with conventional health medicine, which is, pop a pill or, do this particular diet and we can influence physiologically different effects. But a lot of people don't really understand and recognize that actually there's a whole other underlying electromagnetic world beneath how your body is able to actually do what it does. So we'll kind of touch on that a little bit in this sort of presentation here. And I would also just like to point out that if we look at all the different modalities out there, all the different types of therapies that one could get involved in, all the products, there's a million of them. I've looked at many of them over many years. We could say that maybe the most direct approach to influencing different processes in the body is going to be one that is of the electromagnetic domain. Now, that being said, what makes this a little bit of a challenge, at least had been in my sort of role in doing all this research and guiding practitioners, things like that, is that the science is there. It's there for anybody to access, but it is very advanced. So trying to wrap your mind sometimes around discerning, what product is going to be better than another one, what kind of influence it actually has in the body over another one, that is no easy feat. And we also have the challenge of where we could just say mainstream medicine and healthcare in general decided to go and deem acceptable and put under the general practice or scope of care that licensed healthcare practitioners would be authorized to conduct themselves with. And that's also wrapped into insurance and kind of that whole animal, if you will. They decided to take approach. It was very mechanistic, we could say. And they wanted to kind of steer away from the reality that there is more going on than just what you can see with your eyes and what you can see in a test tube or under a microscope or on a blood test or something like that, that this idea that physics or the field of biophysics, energy, is actually a very instrumental, essential part of how everything works. And interestingly, we all have heard of different types of diagnostic devices out there that are used. So for example, an MRI, we've all heard of an MRI. What about a CAT scan? What about even the body scanners that you go through at the airport, right? They use those millimeter waves and can see under the clothes and all kinds of crazy things. So we have these types of tools. A lot of these technologies, actually, the credit is due to physicists. They're really the ones who are saying, you know what? Hey, the body is actually just composed of atoms. So from that standpoint,
everything is energy.
We got atoms, electrons, we got neutrons, we got all the space in between. What about that? It's okay and acceptable to say, well, this table or this inanimate object over here, yes, that has atoms in it. But the minute you try to talk about, wait a minute, doesn't that also apply for the body as well? This is now kind of marginalized and pushed to the side, not acceptable for the masses of people in a healthcare program.
So the research that was done in Russia basically was to determine the vibrational frequency of every function within our body, right? And then every function within our emotional body, within our mental body, and also then as you started to get into that, we started to understand the frequencies in our spirit bodies, right? So that's when we're getting into the emotional body and more of the energetics that show up and create things like depression and sort. So they spent a lot of money and a lot of time really dissecting the body and coming in to determine okay, what happens? Where is the liver when it's vibrating in total health? And what starts to happen when the liver is no longer functioning perfectly. And then what does that liver need to restore health, right? And that's my simplified way of understanding it, because I like to simplify everything to make sense of it. Right?
Yep, and I'll give like the tier 2 explanation for sure throughout this, and then Charles will give the tier 3.
And I'll
But
simplify it.
but if you ever are looking for like that even more and more like in-depth, something you can really sit and digest and say, how is this really doing what it does? And then we have a lot of different sort of educational programs coming out soon. We also have some documents we can share with you. So we're not going to get too heady into the science space on this call, but we will touch on it a little bit. But essentially, there's been a long track record now going back decades of different, let's call it bioenergetic, biophysicist researchers and scientists out there in the world trying to kind of crack this code of the body and how it relates to health, homeostasis, balance. What happens when we go the route of disease? We have different symptoms. And again, is there a way that if the body has a bioenergetic function to it, could we create something, some type of technology, some therapy, where we can actually phase into that, where we can influence that bioenergetic layer? And I can just tell you today is, if this is totally new for you, there is a lot of research out there going back a very long time. And we could really even say it was 100+ years ago. And I would say a lot of the, it only increased even up into the 70s and the 80s. And we saw this then trickle down through different types of devices. And interestingly, a lot of other European on governmental levels and organizations over there, institutions, are generally not quite as influenced negatively and controlled as we see more in like the UK, Australia, United States. And so over here, they kind of are a little clamping down a little bit more so on, again, what I kind of shared with before, what is acceptable for a practitioner to get into. So in other words, some of these things you kind of have to pursue on your own. And so this tool is definitely one of the better ways that I've found. So we'll definitely dive into a share screen on it. What I would like to back up and say is that generally these types of technologies where we've worked to create a full database of frequencies for all these different physiological functions in the body, these can sometimes run into a higher price point range. You'll see them anywhere from like 26 to 50,000, more or less. And that's technologies sold all over in different countries. AOScan is definitely within that category. The purpose of this webinar is to expose you to actually their new product, which is their mobile version. Okay, so, and we'll show you a picture of this in a few minutes. It is on an Android type of military grade phone. You also have the option of a tablet. This is putting all that research and all the capabilities of the original, more expensive system in your hands for a fraction of the cost. And that's something we'll get in towards the end of the webinar. It's around $475 and around $149 up to $199 a month. So
and the original technology was 26,000.
26 up to 45, depending on what you got.
So this is a huge, huge shift, right? This technology has been around for 20+ years at this price point that was, you know, people who are running, you know, I was working with a practitioner who was solely doing this and invested in the technology, because that price point isn't available for everyone. And with this shift that's happening on the planet, right, we're all living it now with everything that's been going on in the world. We are like, the messages I continue to receive is that every home needs to be equipped with a healing dojo, right, with a space in your home where every single person in your family can show up and know what's going on inside your body, what your body needs, and to heal at your home, right? So that is why, you know, this technology is a huge revolution in being able to put it into this device. And just to answer this question here is, you actually get the device. So it does not get uploaded onto your phone. It's a separate device that you receive, this handheld either tablet, or it comes on an Android phone. So it's not something that you download, you physically get a device, because they've actually gone and worked with adding frequencies into that so that all of the energetic field, all of the EMF that could potentially come through your phone doesn't come through while you're running these frequencies, which is very important to consider for those of you who are aware of the challenges with Wi-Fi and EMF and all these things happening. It's like we don't want to deliver these frequencies while being penetrated by Wi-Fi, right? It's kind of counterintuitive. So that's why they've developed these devices that have it on there that kind of solve that bigger problem that could happen. So why don't we start sharing the screen here with them and show them what is happening. Do we need the ear device, or are you gonna just pull up something that you already have?
Yeah, no, we don't need it for that purposes. How am I actually, you have to make me the admin for this?
So basically what you do is you just go share
You already made me that.
screen.
Okay.
And then, whoops.
Okay.
Go open your
Here we go.
skin.
And Dr. Charles, as I actually go through a little bit of these programs, I was wondering if you could just make a little bit of a commentary on how each kind of section is doing what it does. So let's just say, let's call it a deeper dive into the how of this. So I will just, if y'all folks can see, this is the main screen of my device here. And there's a little icon, and I just clicked on that. And so I am running a bunch of different applications in the background, so it may just be a little slower than normal, but just wait for it to load here. So this technology, I'm just going to walk through all the different sorts of, at least initially, the analysis side of what you can do when you do your daily scans for yourself or for a client. The totality is somewhere around 550 different segments or aspects of the body. And that can span from all the organ systems, blood, all different sorts of things. So again, 550. And okay, so now we're on the main screen here. The first one that we'll touch on is the inner voice. So I'm going to speak for 10 seconds, and then after this pops up, we'll let Charles kind of dive into what this is. So this is the voice analysis software that's built in here. So the first part of this, to get your analysis, and we'll explain what the analysis is in a second, you just need to speak for 10 seconds, that's it. If you're working with somebody, you know, at a distance or somewhere, you just call them up, with your device, you let them talk through the speakerphone, and that should do it. So I'm just going to start recording now while I'm talking for 10 seconds. And you can literally just say anything. It doesn't really matter as long as, you know, you're being heard here. And then this actually will pop up an analysis. And let's see, normally it pops up on the screen here.
You didn't go for 10 seconds. You stopped it early.
No, I didn't click the button.
Oh.
Yeah. Sometimes I've noticed when I share screen on this phone that the little color tones don't pop up, which is really strange. But that's what happens when you share a screen. So as we pull this up here, Dr. Charles, could you dive into exactly what is it that we're analyzing per se when we're doing a voice analysis, and how is that going to basically give us helpful information for what's going on with our bodies?
Well, certainly. This is a very dynamic examination of a work that was done by Dr. Sherry Everts back in the 1980s. She was a speech therapist, and she noticed that people with certain diseases were unable to intonate one or two musical notes, that it was completely absent from their vocal cords. And of course, the vocal cords are controlled by the central nervous system. And she started to see this pattern that certain diseases were with people that weren't intonating certain musical tones. When she gave those musical tones back, and she also gave them speech therapy to start pronouncing that musical tone purposely, like, you know, a musician learns how to sing in music school, they got better. And as it grew, she developed software, which is essentially what you're seeing here is a very modernized version of that early stage, where basically I tell my clients, sing the letter song, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And then at that point, you've done 10 seconds, and you'll see in yourself consistently, there's one or two musical notes generally that you just do not intonate. And that equates to a vibratory rate that you're lacking, that you're deficient in. You're not resonating your pulmonary cavity. You're not using your neural system to control the fine little muscles of the larynx. A whole central nervous system setup has been made of a pattern since childhood where you're deficient in these notes. The notes, as we know from all the work in energy medicine and everything else, are very much synonymous also with color. So as the years went by, Sherry Edwards developed the concept where the musical note and the color were very closely aligned by octaves in ratios of electromagnetic frequency, so that if you add this color, you'll start to rebalance your body's energy structure. And it's a very powerful system. It's something I've been using for over 30 years in my system of jade therapy, where we use these frequencies to rebalance the facial muscles of the body. We take away facial wrinkles, and we choose the color notes that they're lacking or deficient in, and we add that color back to them. And lo and behold, enzyme systems start catalyzing, diseases start going away, backaches, migraines, headaches, everything just starts disappearing. So in this wonderful AO system, it's something you can run every day. Like I notice in myself consistently, C sharp is deficient from my voice box. I just am not intonating C sharp. So I'm working on the C sharp aspect of my being. And since I've been doing that, I've been noticing really dramatic shifts in my day-to-day moods. You know, as through a day, you just notice you're happier, you know. So you wear the color glasses for 15 minutes associated with this. You can buy them in the AO back office store. Just $189, you get 12 color glasses, and you wear the glasses you're deficient in, which the program prints out for you, gives you, you can see here with Alex, his balancing octave is E and the balancing color he needs is yellow. So if you wore the yellow glasses for 15 minutes or so, there was going to be an obvious mood shift as you wear them day to day. There could be a digestive shift. Maybe your digestion improves, whatever's associated with yellow that you need, you know, just things just get better. And it's a very wonderful system, easy to use, and can be obviously dramatically very therapeutic for certain people with certain conditions. If you don't really have much of a health problem, you'll get a better mood, you'll get a better sleep, you'll sleep better. If you have disorders involved and you start wearing the yellow glasses, obviously you're going to get some profound therapeutic synergistic effects.
We also, beyond just the light therapy, and again, if you ever want to know how, and understand how, again, how all those systems are able to do what they do in your body, we do have a deeper dive into that type of material. In addition to the therapeutic side of, again, wearing the chromotherapy glasses, you see a little button here that says Rad Tones. So this is actually, and we'll see if we can hear the music here, but this also is something that you will play back to yourself, or you can send this file to a client and they'll actually listen to the missing harmonic tones. So let's just push play here and see if we hear anything.
Your audio is disconnected, so it might not let you do it unless you connect your audio. And we'd have to.
The tone is wonderful to do before going to bed and sleep. It really makes you sleep very soundly. If you listen to this tone for 20 minutes, it's really very helpful, especially people that are insomniacs.
Okay, well, that's okay, no big deal. We have videos where you can listen to the music. So yeah, it's music, different ones that will play the missing, again, notes, harmonics, frequency on all of those sheets that you just saw. And again, so right on the screen, I also want to show you that, see a little mailbox button. So again, you can of course email this and any of the other diagnostic reports to yourself or to your client. So that's what that is right there. I'm going to go back into the reports again here too. So beyond, let's zoom in here a second. Well, actually we can't zoom in on this, but that's okay. So over there, you'll see different physical systems being affected. So right off the bat, if you're also working with any other protocols, modalities, therapies that are, let's say, specifically for addressing the emotions or the mind or the spiritual domains, this is also a good tool where you can track that progress. You can kind of fine tune and say, you know what, this tool and technique is what they need today or this week, or this keeps popping up. We need to kind of create a program around this to support this sort of process of shifting out of unworthiness or something like that.
And I will just add in, as I've been working with this device with clients, is that people love to see before and after progress, right? Especially when we start talking about emotional health and mental health and I mean, even just the body. Some people are very disconnected from their body and might not necessarily feel the progress as it's happening. But if you can show them like, hey, this emotion code that we just did, or this talk therapy session that we just had, or this juice cleanse that you just finished in the past 3 days, like look at your before and after reports, and we'll also show a more extensive diagnostic tool after this one. But my experience is that my clients, they love seeing this. They love having this type of validation for what they're doing and how they're showing up. And it also supports you as a coach and practitioner to be able to be in that type of integrity with your clients, right? Which is something that's so important in the coaching industry and the healthcare industry, is like, how do we create integrity with our clients so that they feel like they're making progress in these moments where they might just feel like their world is kind of falling apart as all of the emotions start to be released. So it's been a really powerful tool, just the diagnostics alone, not to mention then the healing aspects that come in with it. So just wanted to add that piece in before we go into the next.
Well, I would also say too that I, in my consulting coaching as well, that I have experienced a lot of individuals that want to believe, they have strong belief that their physiological health symptoms, conditions, disease is strictly on that level, and they want to deal with it on that level. Yeah. Of course, we can't help mainstream medicine. They have helped a lot with brainwashing people into like, it's not your fault, it's a gene, you know what I mean? Oh my God, help me, my genes are after me. You know what I mean? It creates this whole ridiculous scenario. So this is actually another good tool to say like, well, first off, without them even telling you any sort of physiological symptoms or anything they have going on, you can gather enough data here to really spook them out and say, hey, tell me about this and this. And they'll say, my God, how did you know that? I never told you that. They're like, well, you know, according to this, there's a little bit of a correlation with maybe this belief or this aspect of your mind or emotion. It's a good way of, instead of just you saying it and them saying, oh, there's no connection between the two. It's like, well, no, it's not me saying it. It's actually exactly just this technology.
The way I like to describe it to people is, we went to see this live blood specialist in Vancouver, and he is a very advanced human. He looked at your blood and would tell you everything. And eventually we got talking to him, and he was like, I can look at your energy body and tell you all of this, but you need me to look at your blood in order for you to believe all the things that I would tell you, right? So it really fits into that level, like that part of our mind that has been so conditioned by this Western mainstream world to, these are the steps and processes, and you have to listen to this person in order to take control of your life. All of that, and then you start telling them about their emotions and their beliefs and all these systems and the toxicity, and then get into like, well, maybe the depression is actually linked into mold or pathogens or things that are physiological. Those bridges have not been fully linked for the majority of people. So this technology helps to link those bridges. And one of my friends so beautifully called it chocolate covered broccoli, right? They need the broccoli, but they want the chocolate. So we give them chocolate covered broccoli, because while they get what they think they want, which is the chocolate, you're giving them what they really need, which is like the deep energetic processing and releasing of all these different things. So I've started to tap into these amazing technologies as the bridge, right? They serve to help us bridge into this new way of being, this new world that we're creating, so that we don't have to be the bridge anymore. The tech can be the bridge, and we can just be anchoring that new reality that we want everyone to step into, right? So let's show them the more advanced diagnostic tools.
So by the way, I didn't even say that what you're looking at with this little demo is the basic package, okay? So this isn't the full thing, and we are missing some programs, we're missing some features. And just so you have a sense of things, by the end of this month, we'll have, let's call it the majority of all the programs and features of the more expensive system. So they're still migrating over a lot of that. So like what I can't show you today is if we saw and we looked in there, you know, knees and cartilage or this or that or this condition or this kind of emotional state, we can actually do in the pro level a deeper cross analysis with the databases of other data we pull from elsewhere. And so if you were looking at any of those aspects in that report and you say, well, why and how, and you want to go deeper into that, I'm just letting you know that does exist. So there is already plenty of good info here, but we can go deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and all of that, like, to just preface that, you're all getting access to this technology before it's really being put out to the masses, right? Because of just the timing of everything. So all of the big functionalities of the whole, you know, $26,000 to $45,000 technology is being slowly migrated over onto this app. So that's what he's talking about, right? So by the end of September, I believe it was, we're going to have the full functionality and many of these, even more than what you're already seeing today, available. So we're going to run the vital scan list now.
And this is, and so basically this little list right here, you can always uncheck. I just unchecked physical functionality. If again, you just want to look at something specific, but at the same time, it's so fast at this stage after, you know, compared to where it was many years ago, it's so fast, you might as well, in my opinion, just do the whole scan, but you can always select and choose. So it's just as simple as, there's two ways to do a scan. Whoops, gotta switch over there.
Well, actually, if you do that, it goes to a bigger screen. It actually
goes to a bigger screen, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I'll hit this here. So as this is going through, what I didn't show you on the video is that if this actually is on its 4G, 3G, T-Mobile, or it's on its Wi-Fi, or you have your little headset plugged into this, and I haven't shown you the headset yet. These are kind of the preferred ways to do this scan in terms of accuracy.
So basically, if you're working with a client in person, they would wear the headset. If you're working with a client virtually, you would call them and run the scan while they were on the phone with that device, right?
And
or Skype them or Zoom them, right? So that they're linked in through the radio fields.
Yeah, and I'll let Charles dive into that in a minute, because that's a little bit of a, that's a big one to unpack for people to understand how that works. And we might not fully unpack it. So let's just get back to this for a second, just because we finished the scan. I'm going to open up the, so you have two functions here. You can do the optimize again, which is going to play back the missing frequencies, but let's take a look at the reports in a second here. So the headset, I'll describe it to you. It's basically, it's not one that you wear over your ears. It's what's referred to as a bone conduction headset, okay? So that actually is positioned, so instead of like little speakers on the side on your ears, it actually has a little oscillator coil inside of it, and that sits right on top of your jawbone area, which is kind of where you have a lot of cranial nerves, the trigeminal nerve. And so that's a major access route on the nerve pathway level to the brain. So that does help a little bit with improving the therapeutic outcomes and the accuracy. And so there's a little more to unpack there. Again, the advantages of doing it that way, which we will in a second. And for now, I'm just going to go over some of what's included in this report. So one thing I would point out, and we can actually maybe pull up, well, we won't pull up the other screen for now. In the process in Russia, mainly, when they were trying to figure out, hey, how, for example, would I get all these blood values, right? This analysis of my bloodstream, but how would we ever do this non-invasively to get accurate or more accurate, up-to-date information? Well, essentially, the processes that Charles can kind of unpack in a second to kind of do the scan itself, that always had to be cross-referenced with the traditional tests that were accessible at the time. So there's different types of blood panels out there, and we've all heard of like blood lab tests. We've probably all done one at some point, right? And we can look into different values. Think about the amount of time and money it took to basically go back and forth to scan a person energetically and then cross-reference it to find the best accuracy with the actual lab tests. So go ahead.
So some people in here, this information will be like, yes, I know all of this information. And for others like myself, I don't know what's happening in people's blood. That's not my specialty, right? I really work with the emotional and mental bodies. However, I know that all of this is influencing their emotional and mental body and their spirit bodies. So why I love this is because I don't have to actually know what all of these little elements of their blood means, because the device is going to take care of it and ensure that whatever is out of balance is harmonized, right? Because it's going to run a frequency, a healing frequency that will bring those aspects into balance. So for those of you who are like, I know we have some people in here that are very much health oriented in that health field. And then we have others who are more in the mental health field, and we're really trying to build that bridge. So for me, sometimes all of the information can just be like, okay, that's too much for me right now. Whereas Alex his brain just absorbs it all and takes it all in. So what I enjoy about it is that it gives the client the information that if they do, maybe they are working with a doctor on something, they can bring that to them, they can watch their progress. But from the simple sense of, I know that I trust the device is scanning and the frequencies that are sent are going to support them on the physical level, right? So that while we're working with their mind and their emotions, their body is being taken care of. Their body is getting balanced by the frequencies to give them that holistic approach. So I just wanted to put that in there for, because there are those of you in here that are in different types of coaching and modality fields. So just adding that piece in.
That's right. So I've just obviously on the screen, if you've been following, I've been kind of going through all the different sections. There's a whole lot in here.
So it'll show you everything. It will show you how all the different organs are functioning. A big one, there's a lot of detoxification specialists on this call. It's going to show pathogens. It's going to show mold. It's going to show bacteria. It's going to show parasites, heavy metals, right? It's going to show vitamins and minerals. It's going to show all of the systems of the body that we could possibly need to look at. And it's also going to, so this is before we ran a frequency session with Alex. So once he ran that frequency session, which is really only 4 minutes, right? It's about 4 minutes or less. Then you have the after scan, and you can see immediately. So you'd see, pause the screen for a moment, current scan, and then next time you had the session, the previous scan would be there on that right-hand side. So you'd be able to track the progress that you and your clients are making. And that is really great for them as well to see that progress too.
So, I mean, there's just been so much data.
This is now allergies that we're looking at. Here we have the bacterial diseases. Hi.
And again, there's later in the month, you can still always take a deeper dive into these
heavy
areas
metals.
And start to be able to put together a lot. Like if we were dealing with somebody with just some psychological instability, that would give the person, or that would empower the person to be able to,
Elaborate on how to read the results now that they've seen everything that's in there.
Yeah, so the top right over here, the current scan, previous scan, that actually changes. So for this one, it's grouped by positive, negative, positive, negative. So in the case of, we'll just work with the top here. So stress hormones are, this would be an example of like cortisol not being high actually as a stress hormone.
So I like to think of it as a stoplight, right? Green means go, red means stop, right? So red is going to show us areas that are out of balance, right? Green is going to show us that something that is in balance, right? So that helps me. Green is go, everything is good, system's functioning. Red is out of range, right? So that means that when we're talking about that vibrational spectrum, say, I'm just going to make up numbers now, say like 10 is the vibrational alignment. Now, what if that organ is now at 50? That would be out of range. Say the range is from 10 to 20. So that would come up out of range. Now, if it falls between 10 and 20, that'd be in range, right? So it's showing us where the imbalance is, and then those frequencies will get harmonized through the healing session.
And it does, this top does change. Sometimes it's positive, negative. Sometimes it's in range, out of range. Out of range of what? So I'm going to let Charles kind of jump in here and just kind of give a little bit more of the kind of science side of the vital scan. And again, a little bit more about how it's doing what it's doing. And again, once again, there's more that you can dive into here. So it's kind of the key in how you cross-reference this information in the system. And again, it's fairly straightforward. There's training, there's support. There's actually even a, if you don't even want to get into that, you can send away the reports. And we have a third party that will actually send back a more layman's term analysis of all these different reports for the client. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. So this is not anything that's on you per se, that you have to figure it all out or that you'll understand any of this. But again, there's plenty of education, and there is also other individuals that can make reports for you. But I don't know, Charles, if you have anything to say about the vitals.
Well, I could talk about it a lot and would love to, and will be doing for all of you that want to join this system. You know, as a medical doctor, I look at this as a very useful tool for a patient intake screening. This is something that can be done in a waiting room in less than 3 minutes. It's almost less time than standing on a scale to take their weight. I get the report, and the first thing I do is I view it globally. Alex, why don't you pop back to the screen where it says physicals for you? And I'll kind of give you an indication of how I would read something like this. Each section or block of the scan are related indices or indexes that are related to a type of physical dynamic. So let's look at, just leave the screen there on digestive function, okay? Looking at the whole thing, standing back, everything is in the green range. Looking at your age, I would say it would be unlikely unless you have irritable bowel or some other syndrome I'm not familiar with you, but just looking at you, looking at your weight, listening to you talk, I could pretty much determine very quickly that you're in a state of what I would call relative health. Now, gastric absorption there is ticked off, and small intestine peristalsis is ticked off. Now, being that this is an energy scan, okay, this was the energy of Alex just moments ago, the state that he is in right now. So it doesn't provide me a diagnosis, it's just showing me trends to basically monitor and to inquire and to compare it to other things that would validate what is in this scan. So I would say overall your digestive function is pretty good. The gastric absorption of small intestine peristalsis might mean that maybe yesterday you just ate at a hurry. Maybe you went and had some fast food and your digestive tract was just overstimulated by, you know, some industrial chemicals in the diet, or you drank tap water. I don't know, but basically I would just ask you, is your appetite okay? Do you move your bowels every day? Everything is fine. There's no diarrhea. There's no irritable bowel. There's no constipation. I would simply, with that digestive function, I would ignore all that as being irrelevant to a health workup at this stage. So we look at these blocks as trends, energetic trends that are going on in the body. Now, down with pancreas and glycemic control, the reds are outnumbering the greens. There's something wrong going on with Alex's blood sugar situation at this moment. Blood glucose is out. HbA1c is out, which means that that's the long-term trend, diabetic trend that you look for in red blood cells that are being saturated with glucose. Insulin secretion is out, and the glycemic index is out. So I'm seeing, I'm raising now a red flag of suspicion that there could be perhaps a diabetic trend with what Alex is doing in his lifestyle and what's going on. So click on another page, Alex, and I can show them how you can look further towards this. Now let's look at the trace mineral situation. Go back a little bit, please. There is a chromium deficiency, there's an iodine deficiency, there's a lithium, manganese, and selenium. Those are all very much concerned with blood sugar and blood glucose metabolism. So this is now confirming a diabetic trend. So my first question to Alex as a patient, if I've never seen him before, I would say, are you diabetic? If you're not diabetic, I would like to see your last blood report or two over the last year to see where your blood sugars have kind of been going, because at your age, these things shouldn't be that much out of balance. So that is the way that you look at the vital nutritional analysis scan. It's not a diagnosis per se, it's an energetic trend. It's, to me as a physician, it's a warning flag immediately on a first workup patient. And comparing that to other things, I would tell any doctor, look, this is a valuable time saver. You get all of this information in 3 minutes. This is a blood, if you were to send out reports to try to get these with a hair mineral analysis, a blood chemistry, a CBC, a workup, this is a several $100s worth of material that you have right in front of you that costs pennies and 3 minutes to run. What an incredibly valuable tool to be using in a clinic. You know, to me, any doctor that wouldn't want to see this is not very, it would not be a very smart doctor. It's a very, very useful tool to look at. So vital nutritional analysis, you join the program. We're going to be having Zoom lectures on this in the future because I've been running a school now since the late 1970s. It's an online-based school. I have many courses that will support all of this, but I can tell you we can go through and walk you through these vital things, and you'll very quickly pick up how to read and interpret these vital scans very quickly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for helping us understand that a little bit more. And Alex is going to pull up one other functionality. You going back? So there's a whole system as well in here that is not fully uploaded yet. It will be at the end of this month, which is the CEFI programs. And since a lot of you in here are also coaches within the CEFI programs, we really start to expand now into the energy body, right? So what's happening in the meridians, what's happening in their energy centers. We can look at emotional health as well. We can also start to process and integrate like personal development frequencies, so like success or motivation, or maybe the inspiration to lose weight, right? So it covers, there starts to give you frequencies for all of those different areas as well that you can run. What Alex is pulling up right now is the more comprehensive version for those of you that are in a more medical field or working with health, where you can literally dissect and look at all of the different, like literally dissect and look at the organs, and then before and after scans, which is not what I was speaking about with the CEFI. He's
Yeah, I just wanted to show this
showing
briefly
this piece
as well, just as a quick cross-reference. And you can see that in another video actually that I have out there I can share. So we'll go back here to the CEFI. That stands for, as an acronym for Subtle Energy Frequency Imprinter. These are kind of within the domain of all the frequency-based research and all the different various therapeutic applications that have been built up, let's say, over the last 100. We can even say going back 200 years if we're factoring in homeopathy as a field. If you don't know anything about homeopathy, by the way, there's a huge swath of research and very robust double-blind clinical studies going back decades. So with this device, it's kind of a merging of a lot of different, say, fields in the energy sort of space therapeutically. And that does also incorporate homeopathics and exactly what is capable of creating those for your client. That's why you'll see at the top here, for example, the erase and imprint And I'll just speak about the imprint for a second. So scrolling down again, we're on the basic program. So some of these are not accessible, and there's some more coming as well. But you'll see, let me pull up one here, for example.
So like the quantum affirmations, that's the piece I was speaking about when you're working with personal development and working in more of a coaching standpoint, where these affirmations get turned into frequencies that start to run. And my experience working with affirmations, and some of you in here are in my QMM, and that's all about transforming affirmations into frequencies that work through your hologram, work through your energetic field, and bring you into alignment with that affirmation. So if the affirmation is like, I am worthy of abundance, and there's something in your field or something in your, maybe your ancestral line or your family, that is energetically stopping you from actually feeling that and owning that and claiming that you are worthy of abundance, then playing that frequency will work through the field to help you bring yourself into alignment with that affirmation. So it becomes a really powerful tool for personal development as well at that standpoint. And I have seen literally just huge shifts working with affirmation frequencies in my programs with clients. It's really amazing.
And I, of course, love the science of how that's even possible, which we won't get fully into, but I will say this. When you think about it, when you speak over a cell phone, right? Now, you can do that at any distance. It's sending it through a tower. It's sending data. It's taking the sounds of what comes out, and then it's turning it into, well, an electrotonal frequency, a pattern that can actually be transmitted. So the key is you don't have to fully understand this, but we're working on that level of basically recording the human voice and then changing it more into its foundational electromagnetic pattern, if you will. So in other words, if you just experienced that pattern or heard the frequency directly, you wouldn't recognize the words, quote unquote. But by doing this, we're kind of bypassing, I guess you could say, certain filters that we have in our perceptual filters, I would say. And again, we're going more into the level of direct programming, direct influencing on, again, the electromagnetic nature of the body. So the organ systems, the brain is actually receiving the signals, that transmission directly at that underlying level. And this is basically can yield to a much more powerful result than actually saying and forming the words. There's a lot to unpack there about language, which we won't even get into.
So we could spend hours sitting on this call with you going through everything that this device can do, because it's very advanced. As you see here, we have quantum flowers, which is working with different flower essences, like Bach flower essences. We have the ability to create homeopathic remedies. So in the site, you would actually get the sugar tablets and place them onto the device, and it would feed those sugar tablets with the frequency to create your own homeopathic remedies that you could send to your clients. And I do want to just mention that we had one very specific question in here. So when it comes to, and maybe Dr. Charles wants to answer this, when it comes to situations like, say, autism or cerebral palsy, or very specific diagnosis that people are working with, how could this technology help that?
Well, the foundation of this technology is radically different than most instrumentation. Most instrumentation on the market, and historically, has been electric. It has been electric pulsations delivered to the skin or through airwaves as an array frequency generator, etc. And it's fundamental to understand that the world of phenomenology is everything about us that you're seeing, hearing, listening, touching, feeling. It's all electromagnetic. And that is not core cause. That actually is the effect of a deeper level of energy called ether. And the ether of space is the origin of the actual vortexual energy that is pumping the electron circulating around the atom. So you're listening to me through this computer speaking. It has already happened. My thought has already happened. My voice has already moved, and the transmission's going through the airwaves. So you should think of electromagnetic energy or electrical energy as being the same thing. It is going to dissipate over time. It's going to interact with other molecules, and it's going to attenuate, and it's going to demodulate. The unique thing about this particular device is it's dealing on the magnetic level. There is no electrodes that touch the skin. There's no electrical impulse. It's purely in the magnetic domain. So the magnetic energy is the core cause of the electrical spin. So when you're dealing with the magnetic part of this is the ignored part of biology, and it's actually a very ignored part of physics. We're dealing in a paramagnetic range of very subtle frequencies and energy, and this was what everything was talked about in Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, the 5 elements, the humoral systems of the body. This is the domain of magnetics, not the domain of electric manifestation. So it is the magnetic energy flowing through the electron in through the central of the atom that's pumping the core energy that makes the electrons rotate around the atom. So when you hold the device in your hand, you're working in a magnetic domain, and that's where the energy is being picked up. So I've been telling people this is probably the closest thing to a Star Trek tricorder that could ever be imagined. You're dealing in a domain of energy transmission that's beyond the electromagnetic. It's extremely high frequency going on. And the electromagnetic is the effect. The sound that you hear is the effect of a magnetic pulsation. Magnet is what drives a speaker to make a woofer, to make a sound. That's the effect. The core energy is actually magnetic that originated the whole thing.
I love what you just shared there. It just helped me for me, the magnetism is that feminine energy and the masculine is that electricity. And it feels like this bringing of the feminine energy to heal the
planet. Right, it's the yin and the yang. It's what Chinese medicine was based on, and everybody's missed it. Everybody's looked for the electrical association of acupuncture, the point locators, the point measurements. It's all electric. It's all electric, and that is the after effect of the energy that's there. It's a magnetic domain that is moving the energy through the body, and the meridians that you see in Chinese medicine, those are magnetic channels. That is the qi. The qi is the movement of ether. Ether is the 5 elements. And that's why it moves slower than electricity. It moves in 24-hour cycles. It moves in lunar cycles. It's a sea of energy in another domain that science has ignored since Nikola Tesla was the first one to say that the Michelson-Morley experiment with the rotating mirrors and saying that there was this ether drift. They didn't realize that the ether of the planet Earth is a solid gel. It's a gelatinous solid gel. There is no ether drift. The only ether drift that exists is called gravity. And gravity is a magnetic effect of the core of the atom that pulls it towards Earth. That's why he was able to use his theories to make things levitate. And he understood the domain of ether. And of course, Einstein came along and said space was a vacuum, and that's basically his whole mind was a vacuum. He was vacuous in understanding that core concept. So these are the things we'll be teaching and showing you, that this magnetic spectrum is the ignored domain of energy medicine. Nobody's figured it out. They're not seeing it. They don't understand the reciprocal energy between magnetism and electrostatic fields that rotate the atom and cause the core energy to pour into the atom. That's the domain of cause.
And I would just add to that there'll probably be questions in the future and now. There's other types of technologies where you can do analysis out there, other types of devices and products. What you'll commonly see is what Charles was speaking to, that usually these are based on like electrodermal sort of screening, or a galvanic, if you've ever heard that term, or you're familiar with a lie detector test. Again, all the other devices you see out there are exclusively usually scanning, analyzing the body on the electrical or microcurrent sort of level. And there's a lot of challenges with, several different types of challenges, one of them being the accuracy of the information we're pulling.
So I want to just
Yes.
Do you want to add something?
There's distortion. You deal in the electrical domain is distortion. Let me just give one little keynote so everybody can think about it and they can get the core concept.
Mhm.
What makes a heart beat is a tiny little button in the back of the heart muscle called the sinoatrial node. When that sinoatrial node fires, it sends a shock wave through the volume conductor of the body called electrolytes. It reaches electrodes at the level of the skin and you see an EKG pattern, okay? The EKG pattern is not cause, that is the effect of the sinoatrial node firing. What causes a sinoatrial node to fire? No science book will ever tell you. Ayurveda and Hindu medicine will tell you it's the heart chakra, where the pouring of the ether is coming through, and the spill out or the diffusion of that energy spills out into the sinoatrial node electrical domain, and that's what causes the shock wave of the EKG.
So
But the
Alex,
core
is there
cause-
any scientific evidence that your technology is affecting the chakras? This is
All the
what
time.
Charles is proposing.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I would say that's in that information, we'll have to probably go back to Lauren, who's the main co-founder, and see if what kind of data Russia was pulling on that, and also Germany, so the different kind of research groups that this was pulled together from. I will say that we also have planned some more contemporary tests because of this new device and the fact it's going to be more mainstream. And we do have some individuals that we will be reaching out to. One of them is Konstantin Krakatov, who Karatkov, thank you. Who, for those who don't know, was kind of the continuation of Joseph Karelian's work, who was essentially had passed on a lot of his research that he didn't even publicly fully release to Konstantin upon his death. And we all remember and probably have seen the image of like an apple or a hand with a blue light around it. And this was some of the measurement research that he was doing on what they call was electron or photon gas discharge that naturally is coming out of the skin in response to just being alive or a specific stimulus. And some would refer to that as an aura. So Konstantin continued then for a few decades after that up to the present. And he does actually have some pretty good measurement approaches, I feel, on analyzing that level of things, being able to read ether that's coming into different areas of the body, and then being able to translate that out into actual useful information. If we're looking at like an organ or a meridian line or linking it to Chinese and other Eastern medicines, Ayurveda. So Konstantin, I know, is on board. And then I know that we're actively seeking as well other scientists who are going to be assisting with kind of fleshing that out. Ultimately, I think it's helpful for us to go down that path just to maybe try to make a bridge between worlds and with people out there. I think that's a useful endeavor. At the same time, we're confident this technology has been around a while, that people will be able to use it and just kind of see the results for themselves. And that, a lot of people don't care how it works at all. They just want to see it, use it, and if they get good experiences from it, move into it. So we'll move into the next section.
One thing I just want to address is one of the questions that have come in here that is about, is there something else that the device does to balance energies? I'm just going to touch on this really briefly so that we can start to transition ourselves to just honor everyone's time today. So there are a couple things. We showed the rag tones. There was also a vital scan frequency that would balance the vital report, right? And then there's a frequency that would balance the comprehensive. And then inside of here, you're going to see that we pull up and there are a whole list of, here we go. This list is going to go on and on of all the different things that could be happening inside the body. And then,
and these are more, I would say, rife-based in terms of frequencies that have been used historically for these. And these are ones you can make also remedies out of.
So you make homeopathic remedies, and then you can also play the frequency, but you won't be able to hear it while we're sharing the screen. So, but that is another way that the technology balances energies. And then is there any other?
Well, yeah, we also have a unique type of material that is embedded into necklaces. And that is a type of very responsive silica mixed with Cybin, which is a very special mineral composition in a province of China. And that's really good for, in the test, holding the actual imprinted frequencies. And you would embed that actually on the window, which is on the other screen when you hit imprint. I will back up and say that the ability to basically imprint objects or make remedies, it's been around a while. The original system had a separate piece of hardware that you would plug in, and with two different plates. So one you could erase, one you could imprint, you could also make copies and turn something into a remedy. They spent a long time figuring out how to essentially get that onto a display on the phone, so you no longer need that external hardware.
So those devices that Alex was talking about, I just switched to the back office here in different screen share. So you'll see the homeopathic remedies, and then I believe those specific discs that Alex is talking about.
Scroll down.
Are, yeah, so this band, and you can also do it for your pets as well. You basically set that on the device while running the frequencies, and it will pull the frequencies so that when you wear that, you are wearing the frequencies all day long. So we're going to get into the differences here between the basic, the advanced, and the professional version. That's a question that's just come in, and start talking about your different options for investing in this technology.
Sure. Yeah, the basic is kind of everything that you've been seeing so far. If we go back on the screen here, let me back up a second here.
You're going to have to share that again.
Okay.
Go back to Zoom. Where's Zoom? There it is.
Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah, so you get all that right there. And then where the packages really start to differ is when you get into the Cepheid over here. So obviously you see a couple are highlighted, some are not highlighted. The Pro level will include everything on that screen, even the stuff that's not highlighted, as well as a couple additional programs and features. When you get the Pro package, one thing to note is that you every month, if there's new updates or even years down the road, you will always be receiving those. So when you log back in, it might say, oh, you have an update, and maybe it's a new program or feature or something like that. It automatically does that. But it includes everything you see here that's not highlighted. A couple other programs, like one that you don't see here, for example, is we worked with an Italian researcher who basically spent his career figuring out how to make, I won't get too scientific on you, but basically make an energetic equivalent of a huge swath of drugs and medicines. So if you are a practitioner, then you can get access with the Pro level to like 1,900 different, let's say more commonly used medicines, supplements, things like that. And there's more we can get onto all that. So that's something, for example, that's not seen here. The other thing, I'll go back a screen. So the thermal view here, there is an attachment one could get, which is a very high resolution infrared thermal camera that allows you to actually look at the body and look at heat signatures. So your body is always emitting heat, and it can actually tell you subtle temperature changes, which in different parts of the body, that's helpful for cross-referencing in a variety of different ways, to not get into it too much. And then with the Pro level, you have access towards the end of this year to an ultrasound if you ever want to look inside tissues in great detail. So the basic has these couple highlighted here. You can do the imprinting, things like that. It also has, again, everything back on this screen. The mid-level package, we are actually in the process of, which is 179. So Pro's 199, mid-level's 179, the basics 149.
So let me just, Alex is talking very fast. Let me just break this down to help everyone understand. So once you invest in the technology, and the way that it works is that you then have a choice to do the pro, the mid-level, or the basic for your monthly, and you get access to all of the frequencies that are within that. Now, when you're signing up and purchasing your device, Dr. Charles recommended in the chat, in case you're not seeing, I did put the link so that you could see inside the site in the chat, to start with the phone. And to basically, there is a special that's happening right now where you can get access to the pro for the cost of what you would pay for the basic. So right now, if you sign up, because you're all getting this early, you can get locked into that price, and then it will stay that way when you bring in 3 people. So the amazing thing about how the system is set up is they have set it up as an affiliate marketing structure so that you can share with your clients and share with the people in your environment and help people around you to get access to this technology as well. So we're going to transition to talking about that because a lot of questions are coming in here. So Alex, if you'll just start to shift in there, and I can share them this screen unless you want to show them a different one.
No, that's fine. And there was a question I just saw there. Yeah, so the program comes on a tablet or it comes on this military grade type of phone. You really kind of got to see the phone. It's basically indestructible. At the factory, they also clear out a lot of stuff that is loaded up on most phones. So there's actually some changes at the factory specifically for setting up this program that you just literally, the regular consumers, they don't do that for. So there is some unique features to that. Both devices do the exact same thing. So it's just a matter of preference. If you like maybe carrying around a tablet or you just want to carry around a phone, it doesn't really matter. They both do the same thing. Tablet has a larger display. So that's one subtle difference. If you got into making remedies and doing your own imprinting, if you did a large amount at a time, a tablet is obviously a bigger screen. But that's about it. This actually comes with a T-Mobile plan, which is the most widely used internationally, since this is going to be an international company. So that's why it's in there. Why do you need that T-Mobile already in there, rolled into the monthly subscription? Pretty simple, because in order to access these programs, you actually need access to data or the internet. So that being said, if you also wanted to turn off your SIM card in here, something like that, you can always use Wi-Fi as well. So that is an option. But the point being is, again, to access the program, you need to kind of be online, if you will. And then again, that's rolled into the software. In the phone, there is a dual SIM card space. So if you wanted to take another SIM card and put it in there and use it, you're welcome to, by the way. And a tablet, you can't really do that with, of course. Let's see if there's any other question here. Okay. All right.
And if you do have more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. We are keeping track of any questions that come through. So what you're seeing now is the link that I put into the chat, so you can open that up. And when you go in there, there's a few different options for joining in. If you want to just purchase the technology and work with it in that way, you can go ahead and do that. What we're recommending, though, since all of you are coaches and working in that world, is to really go ahead and invest, it's $95 to have that wholesale membership. In my experience of working with quantum biofeedback, the moment that someone starts using it, they're like, how do I get this technology? Plain and simple. And you can be able to immediately share, this is how you get it. So there's definitely a benefit of having that access in there. And once you actually go in, so basically your process to go through the wholesale would be to click your sign up, go through that journey, and then as Brittany's asking here, once you actually go in and start adding your products in, you'll see in the AO scan tab, you'd add in, add to cart, and then you go ahead and you would add in.
Yeah, so we made a change that after you do the membership and actually order your device, what's nice and convenient is when it arrives to you, it'll already be preloaded with everything, and it will work because it's been tested and loaded at the facility. And then it automatically, when you open it, will load you back to a store like this. And then at that point, that's when you simply choose your subscription. So that again is going to be the basic, mid-level, or the pro level. So that's the time again, once you receive the device, when you enroll. So to answer the other question there, yes, so you need to again have a subscription every month to basically just be using all these programs.
So I want to just touch base on this, and I have extensively talked about this on my Facebook page. So if you want to go read that post, there is another device out called the Healy, and Alex and I have been working with that device since the beginning of this year, as they wanted us to be involved with that company as well. Now, people want to compare the two, and personally, in my experience of using them both, they are not comparable at all unless you buy the $26,000 time waiver equipment. So basically, with a Healy, you cannot work with people virtually as you can this. You're not going to get very clear diagnostics. You're not going to be able to make homeopathics. You're not going to be able to run the very specific personal development affirmations, the right frequencies. The Healy is a very different device. And because of the way that it has been marketed, it's a 2-year-old company. The Ahaumna has been around for 20 years, and the Healy has a very good marketing structure. So it's run out like wildfire into the world in a very new way. And many people are very new to energy technology. So there is this wanting to compare them. They're not comparable technologies, at least in my experience. So when it's talking about, do I like this better? I don't even recommend the Healy to people, period. So that's my stance on it. The devices that we've had have broken multiple times. And for me, if a device breaks and I can't get in touch, that's an automatic no. So just to touch on that. And I posted an entire thing on my Facebook page about the Healy as a review, my uncandid review on it. And you can go check that out. But that's all I'll add to this call on it.
Yeah. And again, just to reinforce Dr. Charles' great point was also there's no magnetic side therapeutically to the Healy. So it's literally direct electrodes on your skin in terms of how it modulates and sends frequency.
So I want to talk about now coming into this and answering your questions here. So once you purchase the device and you've joined the membership, the wholesale membership, once it comes, that is when you would access the pro version. Now, the ability to get the pro version for the basic price, that gets locked in for you once you have brought on 3 people. So what I'm doing, because you'd all come on to our team here, is having a monthly mastermind for everyone to come in and really talk about how to grow your business and how to share the device, setting up these calls for everyone. So that's how you get locked into that price of the pro for life, is through starting to build that, team and community is really the better word that I like to use, by sharing the device. And I will just say that happens very, very easily through just talking about the device. And everyone who joins now will come in and get access to this mastermind that I'm putting together. For those of you who aren't as familiar with my background, I've been in business online for 7 years. My company was actually just nominated and voted the top 5 company in 2020 by New York Magazine. So that's really exciting. And I have a lot of systems in place for helping to grow business online. So that mastermind is going to be for everyone who comes onto my team and really help to support you in being successful, because that's what it's all about, is helping people and really changing the environment. Like my passion is building a world of like the future human that is successful and healthy and vital and wealthy, which is healthy and prosperous in every area of their life. So when you come on helping to navigate that piece, what I'll just say is you will have full support to get yourself there, to lock yourself into that basic plan and to share as much as you want. And also on those mastermind calls, we'll talk about how do I, charge this in my business? How do I offer this to my clients? How do I get people excited? How do I talk about this? So you'll have full support from me in that process of really receiving and using and sharing this technology to the best of your ability.
And if any of you happen to be online, just in terms of your business in some way, or not even your business, you just have a website, or you're just doing anything like kind of marketing online, we are creating some really, really great partnerships right now. We'll have an entire sort of, yeah, almost like a turnkey system, if you will. So even if you don't understand a lot of that stuff, we make it very, very easy for you to stay organized online, funnel systems, you name it. So that kind of comes with the pro level. Let me see this question
So
here.
you need to have the device and the affiliate membership in the cart, and the $95 is an annual. An annual fee to stay connected, and it's similar to other network marketing, affiliate marketings, where that allows you to also receive a commission from what comes in.
And it includes this kind of marketing software, if you will, which we're going to have a demo of soon that everybody can watch, which is it's a heck of a deal. So that's already included.
And just to preface, and we're not getting into this aspect today, but I can email it out to you when I send this replay out to everyone, is that $95 fee essentially would be the cost of one person having one session with you with this device. So it recoups itself very fast. And in my experience of sharing these sessions with people, I'm oversaturated to this point. So it's really exciting to have more people have this technology and be able to really get more people supported. So the next question that we have here is, does the tablet run slower than the phone?
No.
Yeah.
They're all kind of altered at the factory to run lightning fast, specifically for this program. So yeah, it's the fastest mobile device. I was just going to say, maybe we can open up the fee schedule there. But yeah, I mean, you can load other things on it, but now you're going to, that's in your own hands. It's obviously your device, you own it. But we specifically, again, design it just for running this software to the best capacity that it can. We'll just show a quick sneak peek, and we can always send this out, but this is just an example of like what practitioners are charging for some of what this device can do. So the amount of just diagnostic data alone would actually be, I calculated one time, and depending on how you're looking at it, it could be $1,000, a couple $1,000 worth that you get in just one thorough scan that some people are charging $175 for.
And there's a lot of different ways that we can go about. And once you come on, we'll talk about all that on our mastermind calls. I've set mine up where I charge a monthly flat rate for X amount of sessions a month. And because that's I like to have more like contracts and structures than like one-off sessions. So we'll talk about the different ways that you can actually integrate that into your business from, those of you who are working with clients. And then the bottom piece here is actually the compensation structure for when so sponsoring those first 3 people that will come on, that will lock you into that pro membership at the basic pricing. This sort of starts to break down some of those compensation plans, because you will then start earning compensation from the devices that you sell, and then from those monthly subscriptions as well from the people that are using those devices.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we thought about, would we go with a traditional business model for this new mobile, kind of like the original higher priced system? And we decided that honestly, it's more of a win-win for everybody. We want to get energy medicine to the masses. And the platform of affiliate marketing is really just, it's so helpful when it comes to that kind of thing. And at the end of the day, this thing, when people see it in action, when they experience the information it gives them, they usually want to say, what is this? I'm definitely interested in having one. Why not just already have a system in place where you could get credit off of that? Word spreads fast, referrals happen automatically. Or you may already have an audience, or you may already have a huge network in some capacity. So it's there for you. If you want to work it, work it. If you don't, but again, what's going to happen? Somebody asked the question, do I need the membership if I'm just going to try to use this at home, not for business? Of course you don't need it. However, I can promise you what will happen, as we've already seen happen, is you show it to a few people, and they're going to want one 9 times out of 10. And then at that point is, well, maybe they are more interested in the business side of it, or maybe they tell somebody else. So I say for $95,
I will just say that another quantum technology that I'm working with and sharing, I have had 10 people buy that, and I'm not selling it at all. And they've just come in. So since learning about this tech, I've gone and bought it. And I was like, oh, well, I wish you would have told me, because there's actually a better one that I'm working with more for what you actually wanted that for. So that's something to just really consider, is that right now, everyone wants to take care of themselves. They want to know how to take control of their health and their life. And if you start sharing something that can do that, they will immediately ask you, even if it's just your family, like, how do I get one? I had my grandma asking me the other day, like, how do I get one? Right? So that's the type of thing that you want to just consider. Even if you don't want to build a business, people are going to want to know how to get one once you start working with that. That's just everything I've experienced with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the last question that we'll just entertain, because I do want to start to transition this call primarily because I have another one to be on. And from that standpoint, does the tablet have the T-Mobile set up?
It does, yes. Because we want, again, if you don't have Wi-Fi access, we want you to, 4G is in a lot of areas that people live. So we want everybody to have the best access possible anywhere they're at.
And just so you all know, is once you use the link that I've dropped in, and I'll put this in the chat one more time, that will immediately put you onto, my team here, and I'm on Alex's. So we're here together, working with you together. So that just came in as a private chat. So I'll put that link in there again today, and then I'll email it to everyone who registered as well, so that you'll be coming in and being supported by everything that we're creating with this device, which is, honestly, I'm so freaking excited about what's happening and that we're involved. I mean, I feel like it's been a huge gift to my life as a highly sensitive being who was misdiagnosed by modern medicine for a very long time and ended up having a break in my body that made it very hard to live. And interestingly, my body refuses anything but energy medicine these days. So it's been a huge, huge, amazing, incredible shift that I've experienced, and I'm just super passionate to be able to share it with others now as well. I think that now is a time that we're reclaiming our sovereignty when it comes to our body, our mind, our spirit, and this is another tool that has been really an invaluable resource in doing that for myself. So if anyone has any other questions that you want to ask now before we start to transition, if you need any support in investing in the tech and getting signed up, feel free to shoot me a Facebook message. Most of you are connected with me there, or you can send me an email as well that was in the Zoom registration link once you received that email. My email address will be directly in there too. So if you need any help in getting set up, we can support you in that way.
And I would say that if anybody was invited to this other than Ahaumna's invite, you can always get back with them and follow up with them, of course. And also I would say that myself and Charles and the other core founding team members responsible for this business, we're here and we're reachable. So if you ever have great ideas along the way, you have some feedback, truly do not hesitate to reach out. We absolutely want to hear from you. It's our job to listen to you. So anytime, anywhere, send an email, give a call, let us know what you're thinking, a great idea you had, challenges you were having, whatever it is.
So I just want to touch on this last question that came in because it hits me very personally, is with Lyme. So Lyme is actually one of the, on the full comprehensive report, Lyme is going to be one of those things that it will scan your system for. So I have recently learned that Lyme is something that I've had for a very long time that has just gone unnoticed because the testing for Lyme in modern medicine is horrific. And a lot of the things that I had as a child, they didn't link to Lyme. Now we know they're linked. So this device has actually helped me then to find the right answers to unravel this situation with Lyme. So Absolutely, yes. It helps to really get that clarity with Lyme, run the frequencies, work with it. And yeah, so direct experience with that to say yes on that point.
Same here.
And Alex as well. So it actually helped us. And, you know, I won't get into the conspiracy of Lyme disease, but it's a really huge thing on the planet right now that we have to start to take responsibility for and clean up, because it's, you know, wreaking havoc in a lot of people's lives. So
All right, so I think that's it. If there's any last minute questions after the call, of course, you know, you can.
So I just want to screen share one more time, because a private message came through that when you go to that link, so it'll immediately look like this for you, and it will show you the join tab, and that's to purchase the membership. So if you want to get the membership, you'd first go to the join tab. However, if you do not want to purchase the membership, you go to the store tab. And once you go to the store tab, it will bring you into this page that we saw where you go to the AO scan and you add it in. So some of you might have seen this and sent that message. So you actually can, through the store there, or add the membership and then the device. Hope that clarifies right there.
And I have a walkthrough video. We could maybe mass email everybody, possibly as well.
So with the payment of $95, then how soon after do you invest in the device? As soon as you're ready to invest in the device. You can do it right then and there when you sign up, or you can do it whenever in your back office. Once you're logged in, you'll have your own back office, and you'll be able to invest in, you know, all the different, the glasses and the wearables and the homeopathics as well will all be available in your back office.
It does remind me, though, I forgot to say that we actually already were supposed to close off the $60 discount, or the basic for the pro level package deal. And we extended it. And Charles, I think we extended it to the 15th. Is that right?
Extended it to, pardon me?
You remember when we extended the basic promo that gives you the pro level package, the $60 monthly discount?
Yes, that's my impression. Yes.
15th, I think by midnight or something like that. So
that would be in, you know, just a few days, about, it's the 9th today. So until the 15th is when that special is running. So if you did want to get locked into those prices, you'd have to invest in, and then you have a month to bring on those 3 people, correct?
yeah, and if you miss out on that, since we again we're supposed to already have ended that, the following month we have the last promo we'll be doing is $179 to get the $199 deal. So it's only $179, and that gets you the pro level $199. So if you happen to miss this one, there is another one. It's not quite as good, but it's coming next month.
So I just want to thank everyone so much. Dr. Charles, thank you for being here with us, for your time and your wisdom, and some things you shared have really just excited me immensely. And for everyone who's taken the time the last, you know, hour and 40 minutes with us, I really appreciate it. Please do reach out to us if you need any support getting signed up. Again, we'll send out this replay with the links that you need, and, you know, whether if you came in through Alex, you can reach him by email, or you can reach myself. And yeah, we just look forward to connecting with you all and transforming this planet and elevating the consciousness through these amazing devices. So I look forward to speaking to you all again soon. And again, if you need any support, just reach out. Enjoy your day, everyone. Thank you for being here. Much love.
God bless you all.